I have a never-ending list of tasks that need to get done. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that. And some of the tasks that I have are quite obscure. They make even me laugh. One of the things that I've been meaning to do for over 6 months is recane this chair. To quote Nicki Minaj, I got a big fat ass. Dun, 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 dun. Look what it did. The caning in this beautiful Thonet chair broke. Admittedly, it was not from my derriere. This sort of thing happens usually because guests, are not aware. They're not thinking about the seat of a chair. So people come in here. A guy came to fix the window one day, and he had his tool bag, and there were all these tools in it. It's this like thing that's rough and heavy, and he just put it on this chair. And I very quietly just took the thing off and put it on the ground. And it's a little amusing to me that people don't really think that, and I understand, they're not thinking about the surface that they're putting something onto. They just put things on it. And a chair like this is meant for a soft behind that's covered in cloth. This was made over 100 years ago. 100 years ago, people didn't have a cell phone in their back pocket, this very hard rectangular thing. I've seen people with their phone in their pocket sit on this chair. And I'm like, ugh, what do I say? How do I say, can you take your phone out, please? Because you're going to break my chair. So I don't say anything. This is what happens. It's sad. But the consolation that I have is that I know how to fix this, and I know how to recane the chair. It's a lot of work, but it's very satisfying. So on my channel, I have a video of how to recane a bench. This was something that I made a couple years ago, actually. And that video is the video to watch if you really want the instructions on how to cane a chair. But I thought it would be fun to just show you like a little glimpse into one of the tasks that I do every few years. And with this one, the first step is kind of dramatic. It's to remove this beautiful caning. Now there's two types of caning. There is hand caning, like something that was done by hand where every strand was put in by hand. And then there's machine caning where you buy it on a roll, like this is like a fabric on a roll, and you cut a piece and you put it in here. And the way to tell whether something is machine caned or hand caned is if there are along the edge, right? We have the caning, and then along the edge, this is called the spline, and the spline is the thicker piece of caning that goes around the very edge. If that spline is embedded into kind of a groove on the edge of the chair, that's machine caned. If it's sitting on the surface and every inch or so, there's a little tether that holds it down that's going through holes at the back. If you can see this at the back, that means that it's hand caned. Now, a lot of chairs will have this at the back, and then you flip it over to the surface, and it has its groove that has been routed in there with a complete piece of finishing that's embedded in that groove without these little things. That's because many chairs that were once hand caned were converted. When the hand caning broke, it was taken to a repair place, and they're like, let's make this a lot easier. They take an electric router, they route around the edge, they put the sheet of caning in, and then they press it into place. So that is very, very common. The best chairs, or the best pieces of furniture that are hand caned, they don't have that routed thing. They haven't been converted, and this chair is one of those chairs. So this is a really special chair for me. It's an original made in Austria by a famous manufacturer called Thonet, Thonet. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that properly. And the hand caning is original. So it's a little sad to say goodbye to this original hand cane seat, but knowing that I'm gonna give it a new life is my motivation. The way that this is removed is like this. So This is, I kind of just wanted you to see this part because it's kind of dramatic. The old caning, it's taken out, and this is all the material is natural. This is a reed, or a vine actually that grows in the jungle, a very long vine, and it is harvested and then split and pulled into these very narrow pieces. Okay, so this is what this looks like. And then all of this is going to get removed, and I'm going to get my awl and I'm going to pull all of this out. A little tip actually is, like, I should have mentioned this before I cut the seat. Take pictures. Even though the seat is broken, take pictures of what the original caning looks like. Even down here, take pictures of this, of like what all of this looks like. And for the top, like I should show you while it's still intact, you want to take pictures of things like the whole seat, but it's these details right here that once you start caning, you're going to reference. These are called fish heads. These when they come to a point. And the beauty in caning something is actually choosing where to put the cane into to create these in certain spots. Certain spots are predetermined, but there are certain spots where you actually have to choose on these angles. And a curved corner like this can be sloppy if you're not doing it beautifully, or if it's done properly, you'll see like it splays out, like it fans out from the curve. So I have made this mistake before where I didn't take a picture and I was wondering, oh, what did it look like originally? And now I know. So I take the picture, and then when I get to these corners, I copy what was there originally. That's a very important thing. If you have the original caning, and if you're removing the original caning, trust me, later on there are going to be some situations where you're going to really want to remember what it looked like because you're trying to emulate that. And these chairs were made by the thousands, if not even more than that, by very skilled hands. So they were just churning them out, and they knew what they were doing. So they were, you're copying the pros. I've put down a drop cloth, and I'm just making a mess, and I'm allowing myself to just make a mess because I can just pick up the drop cloth, shake it all together, and then put this stuff in the garbage. But this is what it's going to look like when the cane comes out. You're going to have the seat of the chair with just the holes for the caning. And again, if there's a groove carved into here, it means that it was converted to machine caning. And you can't really hand cane something that's been converted to a machine caned chair. So if you're out there and you're like going to yard sales or antique shops, thrift stores, and you'll often see caned furniture with a broken seat, have a look at it. And if it's hand caned, it's kind of a perfect candidate for recaning. This task is not difficult. It doesn't require like an insane amount of skill. It's very methodical. It's very sequential, like A to B, B to C. And it just takes time and concentration. But it's the sort of thing that you can chip away at. You don't have to recane the whole seat in one go. You can do a little bit and then come back to it a couple days later. And when it's done, it's very, very satisfying. Like when you see your own work, you're like, wow, I did that. Oh boy. Oh, Jesus. I think they caned this before they put the leg on. Oh no. If that's the case, I have to remove the legs. I did, because I don't have access to these holes. You know, the ambulance always comes at the right time. The ambulance in these videos always comes at the moment when there's like heightened drama. Okay, so here's an issue that I did not anticipate. You need to be able to access every single hole on the perimeter of this chair because the cane needs to go through it. And I'm seeing now that the holes close to these legs, I can't get to them because the legs are in there. So that means that they caned this seat and then put these legs on. Shit. Okay, so I'm gonna have to very carefully try to remove these legs. Oh boy. Let's see. I don't know. How do these legs, maybe these legs screw on. There's a screw here. They might be pegged. Damn it. Okay. These screws are all corroded. Now, how are you attached? Wiggling, which means oh, I think I know what they did. They did cane it while it was there. This is okay, I'm talking to myself. This is like the mysteries that you encounter when you go digging. Like things that you didn't anticipate. You think, oh, this is gonna be simple. Like the last one I did was pretty simple. I just took out the caning and I recaned it. I didn't even think about these legs. I didn't know that there was gonna be an issue here with these legs. And then you start doing it and you discover something you didn't anticipate. So I am discovering that they did cane this with these legs in place. But these holes, these two holes where the legs are, they didn't go through all the way, because when I'm looking at the bottom here, I'm seeing that they put the cane, here's my clue. They put the caning around the leg, which indicates they did cane it after the leg was on. So if this is going around here, it means, okay, they caned the chair with the legs on. But then my curiosity is, the thing that bewilders me is, well, what about these holes? And now when I'm trying to pull this cane out, there's glue in here. So there was a method of caning called blind caning, where you put the ends into the hole and they don't go all the way through, and you put glue in there and the glue just holds the ends of the cane in. So for these two holes, they're blind caned, which is so annoying. I did not want to have to do that, but I guess that's what I'm going to have to do. Okay, so now I know. Put these screws back in. A task that I thought was going to be very, very straightforward and simple is not going to be that simple. Oh well. Okay. Start doing this stuff and then I'm like, ugh. And I have to do the laundry today, and I have to cook dinner. There just really aren't enough hours in the day to do all these things. Okay, I've removed most of the caning from the seat. I have these little spots where it is blind caned, which means the ends were just put in here where the leg is and fixed with glue. So it's impossible to get out with my awl, the little ends of cane. So the way I'm gonna do this is very carefully just put my drill in here to loosen the bits of cane. Because you can't start caning until all these holes are clean, like you can see through them, or the cane is removed from the holes that have blind caning. So I have my cane hanging from this peg. When you buy cane and it's shipped to you, it will come in a hank like this. And what I always do is just take off all the string and then I hang it on one of these pegs because it makes it so much more accessible when it's just hanging rather than on a table or on the floor. It just ends up a big tangled mess. So you have to soak the cane for about 15 minutes before you start using it, and you should not leave it in the water for too long, because if it's in the water for too long, it will discolor. So what I do is I get out like 2 to 3 strands of cane, and then you put it in room temperature water. And again, all of this is in my other video on how to actually cane a chair. But I'm just going to show you the beginning stages. So I'm taking my cane, I'm putting it in this bucket of room temperature water to soak it in anticipation for beginning the process. And while that's happening, I'm just going to wipe off this chair, because from over 100 years of existing with that cane on here, there was like dust and grime that I could feel on my hands when I took out the cane. So I'm just, with a damp cloth, I'm gonna like wipe off and clean this before, like you can see, it is dirty. So I just want to get this really nice and clean before I start caning. Why not? Why sort of put all that dirt back in there? And I'll let this dry, and then I'll be ready to start the caning process, which is very fun to see. Okay, there. Now, to start caning, we start at the center of the chair. So we determine the center by, these are the pegs. So caning is very simple. The tools, all you need for caning are these caning pegs, which you get from the caning supply company. The only one that I know of in the States is called Peerless Recane, and I will put a link to their site in the description of this video. So you need the pegs, you need the spline, the cane, and then you need an awl. And we start by finding the center hole. So what I do is I actually count. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I'm going to want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's the center. And then I'm going to do the same at the back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's the center. Great. Oh, and here you can see the Thonet label. There's the paper label from the Austrian manufacturer, Thonet, or however you say it. I know I was corrected previously in another video, so just go ahead and correct me again. Okay, get our cane. It's long. I mean, this is a jungle vine. So it's ideal to work with long strands. There is a right side and a wrong side to the cane. There's the shiny side, which is the right side, like the side that's going to face up. And then there's a dull side, which should go down. So you always want to keep the cane flat in your hand with the shiny side up. So we begin by inserting the cane into the center hole with a few inches hanging down, and then you peg it to hold it in place. And then you pull the cane, find the end, which is when it's the beginning, it's very long. And go here, and you pull this through here, maintaining the shiny side staying up without it twisting. And then this should be taut, but not like, it shouldn't be loose like this. It shouldn't be pulled very tightly, but it should be taut. The tension is very important. We're going to come to that later, and once like there's a lot of weaving going on, if it's too tight, it becomes impossible to weave. So now I keep my cane flat in my hand. It's constantly passing through my fingers, like in order for it to not twist. Okay. On the end, bring it up through the next hole. And I peg this here. Move the peg over. And then I'm going to go through the back again. And I'm going to make my way across the chair. Front to back, back to front. See, it's like a place like this where you have to be careful. It's twisted. You don't want it twisted. There. Nice and flat and taut. Another peg. So you can see how this is a time-consuming but very peaceful task. I enjoy doing this. I mean, if I don't have a deadline, I really enjoy doing this. I should tell you that this chair has been sitting like this for so many months, and my friend is coming to stay with me next week, and I only have two chairs that go with this table, and we're gonna have to eat together at this table. So I was like, boy, you gotta get that chair caned. Where's Laura gonna sit when she comes to visit? And I was like, I guess I have to do this now. So that was truly the incentive to get this done. It's good to have a motivation and a reason to push yourself. So I'm gonna go this way. So now I've come to the end of a strand, and you just continue by starting with a new strand. And as you work and you deplete the cane that's soaking, you add more cane. So I've come to the end of the strand, so I'm just going to start a new strand. There. I'm approaching my very annoying spot where it will not go through because of the legs. edges right now. So annoying. But I think this is how it's done. I have a caning book that talks about, where I have read about blind caning. A bit of glue goes in there. And then this goes in here like this. And then pegged. So now it's like, I better make sure my peg doesn't get glued. I can just see it. I can just see myself an hour from now coming back and like, this is fucking glued in there. How do I do this? Okay, just stick this in there and have it burn out. And remember that there's glue. Sometimes you have to skip a hole, especially along these curves, in order for the spacing to be correct. There. So have a look at this. I have skipped this hole here. And I skipped this hole because when I put the caning originally through that hole, it was too close to this one. And this is where you have to sort of decide sometimes, make an executive decision. Like now the spacing is better than it being so close together. And now I'm encountering another hole that is above this leg. So I'm going to cut the cane, put glue in, and peg it into place. Okay, so I have just started and completed half of the chair, just going front to back. I'm going to start on this side. I'm going to start in the middle and complete the other side. And then I'm going to just continue leisurely caning this chair, which is going to take quite a while, especially now that I've discovered there's a little bit of a hiccup here with these legs. That's my task currently, well, one of them. And I will, in the future, maybe not at the end of this video, because I don't know how long this is going to take me, but I will show you what this looks like when it's all done. அத்தை மடி மெத்தையடி ஆடி விளையாடுமா ஆடும் வரை ஆடி விட்டு விழி மூடும் அத்தை மடி மெத்தையடி. So it's been a few days. I have been working on this leisurely. And there's a point when the chair kind of just looks like a bunch of squares, which I completed this morning. And at that point, it's hard to see how it's all going to come together. But this part is the magic part. This is when you start to actually see the caning pattern, when the diagonals go in. The cane is wet. It has been soaked. The strand that I'm working now has been soaked, and I've wet the rest of the chair, which is a tip. Wet the chair when you're working on it with a sponge. Don't soak it, because if there's too much water on the cane, it'll discolor and turn kind of gray, which you do not want. But if the seat that has already been woven is kind of damp, so what I do is I just have a sponge nearby and I dampen the area that I'm working. If it's damp, it really helps to prevent the working strand from breaking. This is what I've noticed. I mean, you really have to pull. So you see this diagonal that appears. This is sort of the fun part, is when the diagonals go in and you really see the pattern coming to life. There's the diagonals that go this way, and then the final strand goes this way, and that completes the pattern. So what I do is I just adjust while I'm weaving to try to make the spaces the same size, correcting these lines a bit. This is the long side of the cane, which will go into the back. All this is very time consuming, very tedious and finicky, but the way I like to do this is leisurely. So I will do 5 minutes here, 20 minutes there, sometimes an hour or two. And this is truly the sort of thing that for me, when I'm done something like this, I'm like, wow, this is what you accomplished by using your little bits of time here and there. You chipped away at it. You were not daunted by how much work was going to be involved in this task. You didn't say, oh my God, I can't imagine doing that, because I know how easy it is to be daunted by something like this. And you just did it. You just went for it, and you did it bit by bit, and now look, the seat is caned. I think that is the best approach for a task like this. You just feel comfortable about taking it slow. This diagonal, it evens things out. It's amazing. It's fun to just watch it happen. So I am just going to continue my task, not having a time crunch. I mean, I do have a time crunch. My friend arrives a week from today. So I have a week to complete the rest of this chair, which is more than enough time to continue doing this leisurely. All my canes hanging up on the wall. I just soak a few strands at a time. Okay, just keep working. Keep everything damp.